In One Flea Spare, a wealthy couple is about to escape from London during the devastating plague of 1665. The quarantine the Snellgraves have been living under is about to expire when their home is invaded by a sailor and a young girl desperate to get off the streets. When a guard learns of the intruder's presence, he extends the quarantine another 28 days. At first surly about the arrival of these strangers, Snellgrave and his wife Darcy eventually become more inquisitive, not only about Bunce the sailor and the young Morse, but also what they represent in the nether reaches of society, about which the well-to-do and reluctant hosts know little but yearn to learn more. It soon becomes apparent that the plague may not be the only deadly virus infecting this house of agony and unhappiness. Written by Kentucky native Naomi Wallace, One Flea Spare is a fascinating two-act drama that premiered in London in 1995 and then was presented at the Humana Festival in 1996, going on to win the Obie Award for Best Play Off-Broadway in 1997. As part of its season of mistaken identity, Slightly Askew Theatre Ensemble recently offered a brilliant interpretation for the St. Louis premiere of this powerful and poignant story about the dangers that wreak ruin not only on the human body, but its fragile psyche as well. Wallace takes her title from a poem by English writer John Donne titled The Flea, in which the poet attempts to override any moral scruples posited by a woman withstanding a man's sexual advances by inferring that their blood would commingle naturally if both were bitten by a flea, and that killing the insect would then amount to triple murder. A rather cunning entreaty by the poet is that verse. Wallace shows herself to be quite a stunning writer in her own times with this nifty tale that is superbly constructed and impeccably performed by the Sate Ensemble under the precise and meticulous direction of Ellie Schweddy. The presentation's sole weakness is the muted delivery of Morse's lines by Hannah Ryan. Clearly, from her movements and her soulful, intelligent expressions, the young woman already is an accomplished actress. However, it is to be hoped that her adult colleagues will coax her in how to project her voice in the cozy chapel confines. On opening night, too much of what she recited simply could not be clearly heard. It's a problem that can easily be rectified. One Flea Spare offers an excellent example of exemplary ensemble acting, demonstrating how a modestly sized company such as Sate can deliver a large wallop of powerful drama in richly satisfying fashion. The company makes judicious use of the minimalist set designed by Schweddy and Bess Moynihan, superbly accentuated by Moynihan's judicious lighting and well-suited props provided by Rachel Tibbets. Add Karim Dean's affecting sound design and costumes from designer Elizabeth Henning, which pinpoint not only the era, but the class structure of that time, to complete a technical design that beautifully supports this haunting and challenging tale. There is wonderful work throughout the presentation from each of the players. Andrew Coleman masterfully conveys the cynicism and the desperate debauchery of the venal government official Cabe. Young Hannah Ryan is quite effective portraying the wise beyond her years Morse, a 12-year-old who likely already has lived most of her short life in the disease-ravaged city, but one who shows admirable restraint against fear in confronting the punitive aristocrats she meets. Ryan's real-life mother, Kelly Weber, etches an achingly poignant portrayal of a lady who was spurned by her callous husband after a freak accident and who covers her wounds as carefully as she conceals her unhappiness and shame at her treatment. Seeing her rally to the kindness of the sailor Bunce is an achingly tender element of Wallace's play. Charlie Barron and Joe Hanrahan are equally engaging, respectively, as the live-and-let-live sailor, tired of his endless conscription into His Majesty's Navy, and the self-righteous Snellgrave, who professes often that he is not a cruel man, though his actions indicate otherwise. The sailor lives with a perpetually bleeding sore that perhaps symbolically represents the crass treatment of the lower classes. It's a theatrical treat to watch Hanrahan fill Snellgrave with lechery and decadence as he inquires about Bunce's methods of sexual relief while at sea, as well as how Barron's Bunce casually responds to his surly host's rude requests. One Flea Spare is a brilliantly conceived and written play given a first-rate rendition by the cast and technical crew in this arresting and provocative Sate production. It's an excellent example of how less can be more.
I agree that there were some very fine moments in this production, Mark, but I had even more trouble hearing than you did, especially at those moments where the actors were speaking more quickly, loudly, or softly than usual for expressive effect. And I think that's something the actors need to be aware of in a resonant venue like the chapel.
Still, Gerry, I thought it was one of the best productions of the year.